Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today, while I was waiting for Luke, I was just doing some research and stumbled across this interesting news article posted just recently. In my eyes, and in a few other people that I've discussed this with, they feel that it is missing 411 / Dogman attack and murder. Before we get into today's upload, though, a couple of links. Also, I'm putting this out a little earlier than the interview with Luke. Luke's interview will still be coming out as well. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. All of those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fan fiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that really don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. Now I've taken enough of your time, and I've been wanting to do this. Let's get on with today's upload, shall we? Jordan Grider died while camping alone in Boundary Waters. Was he devoured by wolves? In October 2018, the 29-year-old New Mexico resident took off on a challenge of winter camping by himself in northern Minnesota. How he died there remains a mystery. For as innocently as it started, Shane Williams could have ended up finding Jordan Grider and asking him to move his pickup truck. Instead, the conservation officer from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources in Ely found mystery in a grisly death that looked like bloody murder and felt like total isolation. Almost 2 years ago, Grider arrived alone in northern Minnesota with a plan to camp through a winter in Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. He had mistakenly parked his truck in front of a private gate off the Sioux Hustler Trail. That's what flagged him to authorities. The 29-year-old Grider from Moriarty, New Mexico, was an experienced outdoorsman and an unconventional person who had spent the previous 10 or 12 years living in the woods of Kentucky and upper New York. This time he had come north to be near the water, his mother, Rebecca Grider, said. Jordan used to tell people, "I am not homeless. I have a home. I just choose to have it outside," Rebecca says. She is convinced a pack of wolves surprised and killed her son while he slept in the Boundary Waters. "I suspect he was caught the first night," she says. "They said lunch." Grider had set up his campsite overlooking a seasonal beaver slough, as picturesque at the time as a private lake. Williams responded, along with a Border Patrol agent, to the first call to locate Grider about his pickup in October of 2018. They couldn't find where he had gone into the woods, and the search was unsuccessful. His last known receipt had been dated October 10th in Ely. What they found almost 6 months later, after some hard-won police work and snowmobile tracking, was a south-facing slope that Williams felt good about. He had told the News Tribune he'd have wanted the same cover from the north wind had he been winter camping. The men followed the slope on foot right into Grider's camp in April of 2019. "It's in a super remote place," Williams states. "If you were looking for a spot to avoid contact with people, he really did find it." Williams remembered coming upon the snow-covered scene as a sobering experience. "We were kind of just taking it in, myself and the agent, a visual inventory," Williams says. "We noticed a large amount of blood everywhere." Williams took stock of the makeshift tent, a hammock slung under a green tarp which hung over a guy wire. He also found a 9mm Beretta pistol in the hammock with 2 loaded magazines outside of the gun. A line in the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office reported describing a large amount of blood inside the hammock and sleeping bag. There were signs of wolves at the campsite, too. Both footprints and scat, Williams recalled. The official report about the initial search of the campsite underscored what the 2 men failed to locate. Grider was not found. The campsite had been under 2 to 4 feet of snow when it was first discovered by authorities. It wasn't until subsequent searches after the snow melt later in April and May of 2019 that Grider's remains were uncovered. Just 12 bones, including vertebrae, a possible femur, and a possible forearm, according to the Sheriff's Office report. There was blood spatter on the walls of the tarp, the report states. 10 bones were found, along with a shredded jacket and another torn bits of clothing at the campsite. 2 more bones were later discovered further off-site by cadaver dogs. They didn't find his skull, Rebecca, his mom states. They took teams of 20 and 30 people out and did the 1-by-1 grid walk. They went up with cadaver dogs to try to find more. They still didn't. The Midwest Medical Examiner's Office in Anoka County has yet to file the cause of death in Grider's case. It says one should be coming soon. Foul play was ruled out for having no evidence to support. Suicide was ruled out during the investigation as well, because the gun hadn't been used and Grider's cell phone located at the scene didn't include anything resembling depression or cries for help. There was a text message that was a group message to his family, stating how much grain and beans he had brought, and that he was prepared for the long winter. The Sheriff's Office report said Grider had also been visiting his parents and 5 brothers in New Mexico through his birthday at the end of September 2018, finishing up several months at home. They knew what he was planning to do and learned long ago not to try to stop him. From a young age, his attitude was my show, my parade, my circus, his mom says. When he was 11 and 12, he made his own ghillie suit, and he was hard to find when they would play guns, Rebecca says, describing the sniper use outfit that covers a person in 3-dimensional camouflage. He liked to get the upper hand that way. An attack by wolves on Grider would have been extremely rare, Thomas Gable states. He can think of 2 in 20 years, including one in which a starving wolf with a deformed jaw attacked a boy. Gable is a University of Minnesota researcher who has been intensely studying wolves since 2015 as a project lead on the Voyager's Wolf Project. He focuses on predatory-prey dynamics, and in that regard says wolves tend to avoid humans. It's why there are no recorded non-captive wolf killings of humans in Minnesota dating up to the 1800s. They have a built-in innate fear of humans, probably through a long relationship with people and learning that people mean trouble and bad news, he states. They avoid people and human settlements. That said, he doesn't see a pack of wolves having an issue eviscerating a human in a hammock. But having read the report into Grider's death, the evidence of Grider's case doesn't compel Gable to think the unspeakable happened either. There were no rips or tears in the hammock or tarp. The sheer number of other campers across northern Minnesota's wolf country who aren't attacked by wolves is in consideration as well, Gable states. The wolf's table manners are another, for as bloody as it was, Gable would have expected a wolf kill to feature greater signs of struggle, and the resulting mess to have been even more pronounced. They are not neat predators, Gable states. If they make a kill the scene where the blood and remains are, is a huge scene of disturbance. The blood smears across a large area, Gables agreed. It was more likely wolves devoured Grider's already dead body. That is totally possible, Gable states. Wolves and any other animal, they are going to do what they need to do to survive. They don't make a huge differentiation between dead and rotten bodies. Whether it's a person or a bear, we see wolves scavenging all sorts of dead animals. Jordan Grider fell in as the third among 6 boys to a seemingly close-knit Western family. Rebecca Grider, when called for this story earlier this summer, was on a retreat in a resort town of Angel Fire, New Mexico. I planned to write about Jordan, she said. Jordan struggled with reading and education due to dyslexia and was homeschooled from the start, she said. But he enjoyed his own way with the world. Where his brothers followed their parents into small businesses and other conventional lifestyles, Grider went the other way, living mostly off the grid. By the end of his life, he picked up musical instruments easily and regretted not taking his musicalship to a more professional level, said his mother. There was a ukulele along with other things found at his campsite in Boundary Waters. He camped the woods surrounding the places he go, such as London, Kentucky, but always kept a job and liked to be clean and shaven, his mother said. One time he worked building furniture with Mennonites for over a year in exchange for an acre of privacy. At different turns, he also worked in a salsa-producing plant at Walmart and at a whiskey barrel manufacturing. Jordan has this incredible, unusual way of meeting up with people. We called him his divine appointments. When he fell in love with a woman for a number of years in Kentucky, shared accounts say he became a father figure for the woman's 3 younger children. They looked forward to his homemade birthday cakes, and he taught the kids how to use both a sickle and a lasso. He could grow grains and make his own bread, or a peppermint patch to harvest for tea. He used up little space with modern thinking. He often wondered why people were so mean to each other. It's challenging his independence. I wish I had embraced it a lot more as a mom, Rebecca says. Interestingly, with him, he was super cautious, and he would be super daring as well. But only if he had mastered what he was going to be daring with. Despite stores of food and supplies back at his trucks, the authorities found Grider's situation to be too daring and lacking in ways, ill-prepared for the rigors of a Minnesota winter. Despite his own talk back home of mastering rocket stoves, one was not located at his campsite. What really stood out to me, sort of looking around at it, was how insufficient that would have been for a Minnesota winter, Williams said, the conservation officer. I understand his intent was he wanted to be challenged, but it kind of shows that can turn on you. The idea of what may have happened to Grider had his middling frame not been caught in the maw of a king wolf one October 2018 night is possibly darker and more desperate than that grim scenario. It likely meant that a well-versed outdoorsman, someone who knew the risks and only dared after he mastered them, made a catastrophic nick or slip of the blade. It also meant he died alone with his fatal mistake, having called no one for help. Honestly, I'm sure we'll never know exactly what happened, Williams says. I'm sort of leaning toward he had some sort of accident and cut himself or stabbed himself, something like that. Rebecca and the family members flew in to visit the campsite in May of 2019. It was tough, Jordan's mother says. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. It looked like he had burned one fire and made one meal there. There was no wood that had been whittled. Because of that, she's firm on her son having only spent a single night at his final campsite. He loved whittling, minus any signs of wood shavings. She couldn't see it as a place. He'd already made himself comfortable, Rebecca explained. I'm pretty convinced they got him in his sleep that first night, Rebecca states. The police don't think it was an animal attack because there's no destruction to property other than clothing. In the police report about his death, Rebecca revealed something to authorities she no longer subscribes to after having visited the site and processed some of her grief. Rebecca states that Jordan keeps his knives very sharp, the sheriff's office reports. She believes this could be a possible explanation, that he may have accidentally severed an artery while shaving. Williams elaborated on those suspicions. We found some things that looked like they could have potentially been used as bandages outside in front of the tent, the conservation officer said. But we couldn't tell for sure. All plausible, Rebecca believes, but she says there were no blades found with blood either. They were all in their sheaths, Jordan's mother says. Wow. Definitely 411. The poor guy's been, he was missing for months. This news article came out a couple of days ago, and they still have no cause of death. Forensic teams, medical examiners, no cause of death. Obviously, it wasn't suicide or an accident, as Rebecca, Jordan's mom, states all the knives were in their sheaths. No blood on them. The authorities are reaching for possible answers. I've played with knives camping when I was younger, and I have been reckless with knives, as many younger boys have been. And I don't foresee this guy, who they say is an experienced woodsman, person off the grid, cutting his artery by shaving, or possibly stabbing himself in the femoral artery by whittling, or just dicking off doing something. I think Rebecca is right. The mom is right. I don't think he made more than possibly 1 or 2 nights there. I think it was a straight up Dogman attack. Whatever. There's no rounds spent. It's just a friggin' mystery. And I think what happened was he set his campsite up. Late October, starting to get chilly. These things are coming, being nomadic, moving, come across him or sense him, and there's a quick and easy meal, like Rebecca stated in the beginning, lunch. I agree with Gable, the college professor. It was not a wolf attack, because there was no, if a wolf attacked him while he was sleeping, that hammock would have been torn up. Not just his clothes. Yes, his clothes were torn, but to only found 8 bones and not his skull, that's strange. And I think what happened is this poor guy was sleeping, and 1 or 2 or possibly even more came and took him by surprise, and just unfortunately took the life from him. I'd like to know what you guys think, And I just, like I said, I wanted to get something. I was just sitting in my studio waiting for Luke, and I read this and I was like, I gotta share this. This is, first, it's incredible. It's more or less the news and the government or local authorities lying to cover their ass. It's obvious the place people camp, not right where he was, but what are they gonna say? Yeah, there was a Dogman that took this boy out, and no more campers. I don't know. It's definitely a mystery. I'm gonna be doing the interview with Luke here hopefully pretty soon, and I'm hoping to get that out either later tonight or first thing in the morning. So guys, I want to thank you, and with that I'm going to bid you farewell.